Now, with the vaccine being released, right? Do you think that, I guess, we're gonna start seeing some normality, and like I guess things come back to normal, like at least from the healthcare sector piece? Like, do you think they're gonna start allowing visitors soon, things like that? Uh, I mean, at least not maybe not this year, maybe probably at the end of this year, maybe early next year.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, this is complete speculation. Like, I'm not
Yeah,
even speaking from a position of knowledge
no,
here,
that's fine. From my
but I think,
yeah,
yeah, I think as vaccination will probably help normalize things quite a bit across the board. I mean, it's going to help normalize travel, right? Like, you're going to have to I mean, if you can prove you've been vaccinated now, I think, I think airlines will be able to, they're still going to want to do some social distancing and stuff,
well,
but
for certain countries, probably they're gonna want to see something like that, probably, to be honest.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely, especially coming from United States for sure.
Yeah,
So I mean, I can see that some of the rules will be relaxed. Like, they'll say, okay, you can have maybe more visitors or something like that.
yeah.
Probably elective surgeries and all that stuff is going to be normalized. I think campus will be normalized, but I don't think it's ever going to really fully go back.
You think actually, let me ask you this: would you think that they will make it mandatory for everybody? I'm curious.
Vaccine?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so either?
No,
Like, how TB, some certain places require TB vaccines for that, like certain
yeah.
countries.
Yeah, TB, and we do that here, by the way, too. Is like you have to be forced to get treated for TB, but that's because
Yeah.
TB is different. Like, TB is like a
Of course,
like a
no,
lifelong disease that you can keep spreading.
Yeah.
So that's like a bad thing. COVID is not, at least not that we know of. Now, if you prove in the future that COVID gets retransmitted and you can keep transmitting it, and it starts evolving and the strains, there's like there's a bunch of new strains. There's a couple that are very, very problematic right now because they might be resistant to this vaccine, or not resistant, but like their spike protein might be different, so they may not be
so they have to change. They have to evolve the vaccine as well, probably.
What do you
probably
think?
will.
What do you think the probability of this vaccine creating an I Am Legend type of scenario? I feel like
Dude,
that's the most
that's the most
problematic
important
part. Like, even if the
I
vaccine
don't think
doesn't
it is,
create
though.
it, it
don't
could
think.
evolve into something like that, right?
No.
I mean,
It's
So I mean, can you explain the RNA technology for some people? I feel like they don't know what it is, though. You know what?
yeah. So so there's a few different vaccines, right? So the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccines are both mRNA vaccines. So they contain mRNA, which is messenger RNA. So it's not DNA. It's not like the nucleus of your cell that has a blueprint for all your body. And the mRNA never technically enters your nucleus because it's sort of like a little blueprint of what the DNA is. So it never goes into your cell's nucleus. And basically it ends up into your cell, and then your cell uses its proteins to transcribe or convert the mRNA message into protein, which is the spike protein. And the spike protein is what's immunogenic, meaning that your immune cells recognize it and they start creating antibodies against it. That's how the mRNA technology works. There's other vaccines that they have, like the AstraZeneca one, I think is a adenovirus vector vaccine, which that's a technology that's also kind of recent. But basically, they'll take a virus, adenovirus, which causes the common cold. They'll replace all its like mRNA and nucleic acid with what you want that virus to make, and it's a vector, so it'll actually invade your cell, and it'll give it that mRNA or that DNA to make the protein that you want it to make.
So it makes your body regenerate that DNA.
Exactly.
that second one's more likely to create zombies.
No, I think the second one's actually been around longer, so it's probably proven that it's not going to do that.
Longer,
maybe the mRNA one. I mean, in all reality, I'm very, very doubtful. But if it does happen,
I don't want to be Will Smith.
The saddest scene in that movie was like the dog, man. Like,
that dog.
That dog.
Sorry to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen that movie.
It's been out for so long. Like, if you haven't seen it, it's not a spoiler.
It's like 12 years or something, right? Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like to make it mandatory, I feel like they're preparing for that, but
I don't think they can make it. I mean, look, so the hospitals, our hospital has not made it mandatory. They can't force you to get the vaccine. When the vaccine rolled out,
if they have to, I'm curious, how would that go about? Do you know? At least I'm just wondering. Curious.
I don't think. I mean, how would it go about if they force you to get a vaccine? I mean,
no. Like, how would they make it mandatory in general? Like for example, what do you have to do in order to make it mandatory? Like, the CDC has to do something. What I mean,
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very slippery slope. Obviously,
yeah.
But let's say that were to happen. Yeah, I mean, if the CDC comes out and especially if like for the hospital, for example, if insurers and the people that are paying the hospital start implementing these rules, which is essentially the government.
Yep.
You know, I mean, private insurance companies follow what the government does.
Yeah.
And the government is Medicare. So if Medicare starts saying things like, well, as part of our like quality improvement and like the Joint Commission, which is the oversight committee for hospitals, comes in and says that all employees are now required to be vaccinated and can't have a single unvaccinated employee. Yeah, that would essentially be a mandatory vaccination. And if you're not willing to do it, then you lose your job. So I could see that working through the bureaucratic system of hospital oversight, which is the Joint Commission of, I forget what it is, but that's what it's called.
Yeah, but I guess, but it will be definitely a harder hurdle to get through that process. Like people think it's easy to meditate. I'm like, it's a very slippery slope.
No, man. If they do that, like they can't do that. If they do it, like that's a big problem, and people are not going to be quiet about it. That's for sure.
For sure.
I don't think people are gonna like. People don't even like wearing masks. So how are you gonna force them?
How are they gonna force you to freaking get a shot in your eye?
Yeah.
I love the vaccine. I think the vaccine is great. I have no fear of any kind of long-term side effects from it. I get into arguments with anti-vaxxers all the time. I think that's a bunch of BS. But at the same time, there are lines that you can't cross, and making anything a mandatory thing.
Let me ask you this though. Then, so what are some of the long-term research you want them done for these vaccines? Then I'm just curious. Like,
I just want them to do like basically just keep track of the people that they vaccinated. But I think the biggest thing that people are freaking out about, and this is what I get asked about all the time, is long-term. Like, am I going to have something 5-6 years from now?
That's
2 years from now, because this is a new technology. It uses mRNA. Is it going to do something to me? Is it going to cause cancer? Is it going to cause, I don't know, whatever, And
my parents are not willing to get it, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't.
Mike Wong's not willing to get it. That's like,